edition of Real Talk, and you're here with Alyssa and...
I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
Why?
With Grant, and we have a special guest.
Yes, we have special guest Jessica Champini.
Thank you.
I got it right.
Yeah, you got it.
So Jessica is the founder of JC Fitness. She's a social media manager at what is it, Pigo One in Montreal. She's an author, former teacher, kinesiologist. She's got a lot of
this is
distinctions
her list.
under her name.
That's quite long.
Do you sleep?
Jessica.
I sleep I try to get like 7 hours, but sometimes it fluctuates depending on
what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I like that word, fluctuate.
Depending on how stimulated my brain is, because I keep doing there's so many things, but I try to keep things that very focused on what I need to do and having my. I necessarily don't have a checklist of to-do lists. I used to, but it wasn't.
It just didn't work out.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we all make to-do lists for our lives, and we're like, but I could do something else today.
Yeah, depending on where your time is, what's more effective. So now it's rather than doing one thing, is that going to be effective for what I need to do, rather than going for the other thing. So it's setting the priorities as well.
Yeah.
You have quite the history. You were diagnosed with depression and cancer.
Yeah, cervical. Yeah.
Very young.
Yeah, I just turned 26 last week and a half.
Wow. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. So that was, it was a point in my life that totally 180 shifted my life. And that was 4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago. So where were you, when you found out, and what was your reaction?
So where was I in my life? I was in a place where, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of synopsis of yeah. So I grew up in Jane and Finch. What? Just saying. So that's where the strength comes in and the fighting, and I've seen a lot of things while I was growing up, and grew up raised in Jane and Finch, and not a typical European family, and that's what really motivated. That's what really kept me going, because not growing up with my family since I was the age of 16. I didn't have my family. I chose to basically take the chance and take the leap and go on with myself to do something. And I went to York University as well, but I chose to run away from home. Technically, I ran away from home because I was raised in a really environment that wasn't safe, or wasn't pushing you and supporting you. And like I said, so being raised in the neighborhood of Jane and Finch, I'm not sure if you know, but there's things that there's. I guess the neighborhood as well where I was raised, I was just around the people that were just it was dangerous most of the time.
There are a lot of bad influences.
Yeah, exactly.
Jane and Finch.
There wasn't ever any good influences around me, and I didn't have, again, going back to my parents. So when I moved out, I was living on residence at York, and I felt like, okay, I want to, rather than, I was in school, and I finished school, so I took kinesiology and health science. Then from there, I wanted to travel, and I really wanted to discover and just be on a journey and on a path for myself. So when I was diagnosed, I was in an abusive, intoxicated relationship.
Oh, wow.
And I think at that point in my life, I was really trying to take care of everything and everyone. And everyone would be the people that I had in my life, but at that point I didn't have my parents, and I was always behind my mind. I'm like, okay, what should be my next step? I do want that relationship, but it's almost if you're going too far back, and now you need to reunite with the person, and you don't know what step to take, and especially at a really young age too. You're thinking what's right, what's wrong. You don't know which way to turn, because you almost expect someone
to
your
tell
family.
you what to do. Yeah,
exactly. And I always, even now, I'm like, okay, I like when people are really hard on me, because I didn't have that father figure, and I didn't have that mother, unfortunately, to say this is right, this is wrong, and I think you should stop here. So growing up, even just getting myself into, again, taking the risk, and when I was when I was mugged, I've gotten robbed, and I had to be that father, I had to protect myself. I'm always wearing this guard, and moving to different places, and it was an amazing journey. When I did find out, I found out when I was diagnosed with depression, and I think being in that state, I knew it was bound to happen. I didn't have anyone to really pick up the pieces when I was falling. So I went to different courses. I did a ton of different things. I have a lot of things that I've done within that time span, and that's where I really grew. And obviously we're still growing, right, every day, and my goal is always to become better than I was the day yesterday. So during that time, to keep me motivated, to keep me inspired, was just really putting myself out there. I'm a part of a Sterling Institute, so I'm a graduate with that, and what that is a big women's community, and helping each other out, really inspiring, being there for one another, and you can call it like a sister tribe. And so this institute has been around for like about 30 years now, and we're just amazing, successful women, but all coming from a different background, and to lead them to where they are. So they are the ones that helped me, picked me up when I was going through that phase. So when I was also diagnosed with the cancer as well, that was a shocking thing. But when I did find out, when I found out, I wasn't necessarily, I was shocked, but I was like, okay, like I took it easy, like I was sort of calm, like it was like a really.
Was it shock?
It was shocking, but I think like once you go through something like that, like you're almost like, oh no, like I don't have anything, like no,
you were in denial about it.
I was in total. I'm like no, but it was just a scary thing, because you felt okay, like now what? Like I'm just trying to pick up myself. I'm trying to either move and doing everything, and again you're being that 10 different hats. So finding out, I neglected it for some time, but I was almost on my I would say 3 months in. So we're 4 months rather, 4 months. So it was things are obviously growing, and I needed to go ahead and I had to go to the hospital. But I didn't face that until I was this is going back 4 years ago. I was working just with my uncle, I was helping him out as well, and he was supportive at that time, but necessarily not with what I was going through, because I didn't tell anyone. And that was my thing. I didn't tell anyone because of when you're being raised with no one by your side, you almost feel like you've got everything on your back, like you've got it, and
you basically have to shoulder the weight of the world.
Exactly. Like you don't even know how to ask for the help, because
you really gotta toughen up.
Yeah, you've already developed that independency. You've already developed that, and you think in your mind, and that even today I'm practicing things, and I'm converting to Buddhism as well. Like we'll get into that later, but so things that like you're always practicing to say I need help, or I need to talk to you, or just letting someone know that, or I don't know something. So that's things that I've still learning today. So finding out about the cancer was, when I was working there, I actually went to the hospital, like at Northern General, and I got rushed there, and I'm like, okay, like this is I've already like put it under the sheets for a long time. And one of the agents, I was working in real estate, and one of the agents, he took me, he's like, this time, and I was beyond scared for my life.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember like signing my life away, because before like going in, then before I did I did a number of tests, and the doctor, my life changed when the doctor said, your time is now, this is life or death. And I'm there like literally pulling my hair. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do.
What do you do?
I don't know exactly. Like what do you do?
Yeah.
And at that point I'm like, how is the doctor gonna tell me life or death? Like what? And anyways, I had a few friends there from the Sterling, my women, Sterling women, and they were there, and they were there on basically almost like all night, helping me, just calming me down. And then suddenly like they left around like 2 o'clock after visiting hours. And I just remember so vividly, like even now thinking about it, walking with the IV, and you're walking, and you're feeling like almost like you're literally deteriorating, like your body, you're dying. That's what it feels like. And very disturbing things happen, and whether you can relate or not, the viewers that are watching, whether you face something in your life, or even ourselves, like we all face something. It doesn't have to be to that extent, what I've been through, but I think we all face this sort of challenge, and really hurting ourselves. And I hurt myself in a way of physically, emotionally, mentally, taking substance in my body. I don't know if you saw it, but I posted on my Instagram, it was yesterday, and that at that time, that's when I completely was such in a vulnerable state, and I was on overdose on drugs and steroids, and these are things that, hey, we're on Real Talk, right? So these are things, yeah, like I'm real. I'm real. Yeah. Jaden Finch, okay? Real. and that's what it is. And at that point, and I said, what's the point now? Like, what am I doing? And I almost felt I didn't even want to bother trying anymore, because it was already, I thought it was too late.
So you just kind of gave up.
I felt like I was giving up. And then I remember laying on my bed, I'm like, okay, I can't get up. And and I knew my purpose was so strong because not having certain things in my life, whether it was a tangible thing or not, with family support or not, I knew there was something, there was that why, there was that fire in me that I'm like, no, I have to, like, we're gonna get this over with, and that's it. You always have to look at the most positive things. And I guess I looked at it in a really positive way when I was there. I'm like, okay, now I can, like, I'm relaxing, and I stayed on the bed, and I just sat there and I relaxed until the next day. I couldn't really move, and in terms of, like, my body, I could not move. I was drugged. They gave me tons of drugs, and I, in my mind, I used to joke around, I'm like, well, I overdosed on many drugs. And
what's the worst it's gonna do?
And I never felt this. Yeah. I never felt this, but this is sort of good. Like, I felt so mellow. I'm like, oh, this is nice. But the scariest things for me was sleeping in the hallway, and I remember that the security's watching me. I'm like, what the heck are they watching me for? But I didn't know, and the reason why they were there behind me to see if I was basically to make it.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
I was sleeping in the hallway, and I remember about 4 or 5, or I would say 3 or 4, they were behind me, and I was sleeping basically like they were watching me all night. But I couldn't sleep at that time, and it was the hardest thing for me. And I almost, like, on hesitation to call my mother, but I tried calling the old number, and I remember I couldn't get a hold, and I was like, there's just no.
So your parents didn't know that you were going through all of this?
No.
Because they weren't in your life, you didn't have anybody else you could talk to, nobody in your family, just your sisters.
I only have one sister, and unfortunately she wasn't there at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you find, like, did cancer run in your family? Was it something?
Yeah, so my grandmother died of cancer 2 years ago, and breast cancer runs. So I do go, I do see the doctor often, like, I do visit, and then I became vegetarian, then I went raw vegan, so I'm vegan now, for the vegans. So that, for me, it was just like a 180, and I think it would be for most people, or it could be a good amount of either changing your life or thinking, okay, this is it, and, like, I'm gonna stay where I am, stay static, and that's it for me. Or you can have a really life-changing, just your world and the transformation within yourself and what you want to do. And I think this is the reason why even today, people that know me know that I'm always go, and I want to get everything done, and I want to do everything. And I just want to be the first person to get it, and just the first person to do it 110% and be there. And yeah, it's just, I think that's what evolved to everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we're gonna stop you for a minute. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
I wasn't even watching the time. We'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
And we're back with Real Talk. If you're just tuning in, we have special guest Jessica Ciampini.
Ciampini.
It throws you because of the eye.
I gotta watch her. I gotta get some men boots. Yeah.
I've been laughed at with my last name growing up. I wouldn't even say the things that I don't know if I get.
Trust me, I have to. You can say it. Like, people used to call me. My last name is Mahadeo. People used to call me Alyssa Macaroni.
Okay, what do you want to hear? This one? Champinas.
Oh,
you sorry,
Oh.
I had to say it. You don't have to say it. Champinas.
I was thinking like Scampini or something like that, but wow.
So that's good.
It's like people understand now, there's different names and different pronunciations. I'm like, who are you people?
So if you're just tuning in, please make sure that you subscribe, or you hit, as you can see, smash the hearts and likes. Jessica has an amazing story of where she came from. not being with her family, finding out that she had cancer, and getting through it.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's wow. So what were some of the steps that you actually personally took to start getting into the right direction?
So personal things that I did was constantly putting myself out there, and if it was on social media, and I mean, social media now has became like it's everywhere, and the more authentic that you are, the more people are they can relate to you.
They prefer if you're real.
Yeah, and then whether you're selling a product or not, and like coming from some owner of a studio, it's a clinic as well, and even with just that, like giving clients just authentic other testimonials or videos, and not something that you always have to have something perfect. And I think that's what we all try to
we strive to have something perfect.
We strive to look perfect for our hair or our video, and then you keep doing it. And I used to be the same way. I have like a YouTube channel as well, and I would keep like, oh, that didn't look good. Oh, I gotta do it again. But now it's whatever. Like if it doesn't make sense, and that's the whole thing of the growth. That's where the growth comes, and you're taking that leap, and that's what I did with my personal development, taking that leap, whether I did the conferences and I was speaking at different events, and then I bawled my eyes out, or meeting new people and just trying to like connect either with, you don't even know who the right people are sometimes, because you're still figuring things out. It doesn't matter what point you are, but you're open and accept, and you're having full acceptance with whoever comes into your way, whoever comes into your life, and I discovered that whether they served me a purpose or not, but I really look at it as they all served me a purpose. And my mantra, even from today, I always say, leave something better off than when you first found it. And that's coming from myself too.
Yeah.
So whether even my family today, so we have a great relationship. So it's when I first saw them, when I reunited, it's like when I first saw them. It sounds so weird to say that, but it was we reunited about 2 years ago, and I just wanted to rebuild and help with my parents.
You basically had to reintroduce yourself to your parents.
It was hard. It was really hard. I remember coming. She was to my birthday, and she came to my house, and I thought, this is so weird. Like it feels like it's a stranger, and that's what I felt like. As bad as it sounds, and and I almost didn't feel comfortable, and I was totally out of my comfort zone with that. And then I took that with me, that lesson, out of my comfort zone, and constantly just put myself out there, trying different things. And when I even going on like radio stations or talk shows, that was like that's a small thing, but even like writing a book or talking to people about what I was going through, and I used to be ashamed of where like I grew up. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I'm not going to be ashamed whether we've been through something good or bad. You always embrace it.
It made you who you are today.
Exactly. And it's such a powerful story for someone that's coming through that. That's survived, I think, even like the abuse of a relationship, and I'm sure there's people out there that are watching. You've overcame something abusive in your family, or abuse maybe of separation, and necessarily I haven't been through a separation with but it feels like the separation with them. But luckily, like I'm really happy that they're still together, and that's what inspires me to see them still going through strong. And oftentimes I hear this very often. They would say, well, your parents weren't there for you. They didn't do nothing for you. So, like, why do you get back to them now?
It's funny because
there's a
lot of people who would say that. They would have that view because it's kind of like, well, your parents weren't there for you. They're kind of good for nothing. But they're your parents.
I get that so often.
And
people would tell me, well, why are you doing what you do? Or what's the point? What's the point? I'm here because of them. And despite them not being there in that time, or any time that whatever we've gone through with it could be like a family or a friend, just because they're not there, it doesn't mean you neglect them it's almost on purpose. It's you know that consciously, but you're like they weren't there. So it's like an ego thing too, like, oh, you weren't there for me, like I'm not gonna talk to you. And then that's what pushed me. I had to really set aside my ego and healed. A lot of healing and growth at that time. There was so much healing, and I said, okay, she's not going to talk to me. I need to make that next step, because life is so short. We don't know what can happen, and coming from myself, I didn't know if I was going to sit here today. You just never know. You really have to keep the people that are either close to you or not. Even if you just meet someone and giving them something back, or teaching someone, sharing your story, and really listening to people.
What was the feeling like when you guys first reunited back? Like, how were they, especially when they found out what you went through? I'm sure it was pretty emotional.
Did you tell them all the details?
No, my parents didn't know.
They didn't know?
No.
Wow.
So that's a confession. So they don't have social media, but my extended family, they knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't tell them, and I guess it's gonna sound like very like I almost felt like they shouldn't know, or
it's like
it sounds really bad to say that.
They shouldn't concern themselves with because they weren't there.
Not necessarily that, but because I didn't want them to worry and stress and feel that they
neglected you.
Will feel horrible for what they weren't there for.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that. So I look at it now. Things happen. Shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter with who. It's like just get over that slump.
Yeah.
And just wanted to be there for my parents, and I didn't want them to know. It's not like it was. Yeah, it's technically a secret, kind of a little secret. But I just wanted to keep it away and just be there for her now because it's her
they're not
time.
on social media yet?
No.
Yet?
I'm like, Actually, it's really funny because I told my mom about Instagram, and they're very old school. She's like, oh no, like isn't it like a monthly fee? She thinks it's a subscription. I'm like, no. I'm like, and it's okay that she doesn't have it, but she will. She has looked at my page, and she does proudly say, oh, this is my daughter, and she'll show like my website or like my other business accounts, and she'll give like people my card, and then I have people adding me or messaging like, okay, and like your mom introduced you to
yeah.
I'm like, thanks, mom.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so I just want her to be proud of, just because you think you didn't do something, and even for myself, you should always be proud for the littlest things can serve. And I tell my mom, you weren't there, but you are here today, and you're doing your best. And because maybe you couldn't at that time.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
It's not it's not something you should hold against them, because
exactly.
Again, I mean, you didn't tell them, they didn't know, and you can't kind of blame them for that.
Yeah,
because they weren't there. So
yeah,
it's true. It's true. Now, you mentioned that you're also an author.
Yes, I wrote my book. It's on Amazon. It's called The Minimalist Guide to Healthy Eating,
Okay.
and that's a bibliography about myself as well, and how I can help people to really inspire them to help get into. Well, encouraging them to become vegan. I know. I'm like,
are you a vegan advocate?
Should I say vegetarian? We'll start out vegetarian.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not biased towards like. I mean, I used to do like fitness shows, and I've done a lot of. I've taken the steroids. I've done like a lot of beef and the protein, but it just didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone whether you have cancer or not, I'm just gonna use that. But being raw vegan has helped tremendously in my life, and it's a very spiritual thing as well, and I've just been on this path of spirituality, and it's just amazing. And I almost used to think it was like I couldn't even get into like a Zen. I didn't even know what that was, or like a meditation. I think we're so polluted with so much information.
Yeah.
Most of it can be false, and it's so easy to think it's real.
Yes.
And it works, and people are selling stuff on Instagram online.
There's a lot of people, and you're like, is this just a hoax, or is this actually work for you?
You don't know, but until you have someone that's been through it, it's authentic, and that's the real thing. There's so many things that are being sold on the market, and anyone can, like, you can easily sell something. You spend a few days or a few weeks, put something together. Sometimes not even tailored, and that's what bothers me sometimes, because I'm coming from a science background, kinesiologist, and I help my clients with now. Some of them have cancer. Some of you guys like out there, they're facing like other fear, anxiety, diabetes, some surgery, and that is my goal, is to help them to get back on their feet, on their lifestyle, to help them with their families, and to really embrace where they are, and to move forward, because there is a way, and there is a path to that, and I want to make sure that I'm fully there with them, 110%. They're held accountable, and that's like really what my purpose is to share the story and understand where we are. It doesn't mean there's a reason of where we are, whether there's a good path, and then we face their challenges. But when we have the challenges, it can be so hard to come back up and really have that belief in yourself, but that's coming from the confidence. So the confidence, which I believe confidence is coming from taking the leap, taking those extra steps. And then you have the confidence, you can say, I did it, or maybe I can't do that, and I'll try it again. And then you have the confidence when you continuously practice it, and you do it. And that's like now meditation. I practice every day. I didn't think I can do it. I couldn't sit still. And I thought I had ADHD. We all think that. We're like, we have ADHD. I'm like, no. And people are always looking on their phone. It's just our society. Like, I met someone 2 days ago, and actually, no, I was getting my tattoo done. He's like, I have ADHD. I'm like, were you diagnosed? He's like, no, I just think I do, because I can't stop. I can't sit still. And then I try to give him like some tips, and I just told him just relax and just try breathing a little bit, and then we talk throughout doing the tattoo.
I think everyone kind of focuses in different ways, so that's kind of so you gotta find
your
zen.
own exactly. And I don't think meditation is only sitting down, and it could be like a boring thing.
People have said, I've actually gone to a couple of events where people have talked about meditation, and they're like, meditation isn't just sitting on the floor and chanting Om. Like a lot of people. That's
I tried that.
How did that go?
A lot
did
of
you get to Om? Yeah. I think you got to the
It's
Om.
Yeah.
What am
look
I
up
doing?
In the air, like, what's next? You don't know what, and you're looking maybe around. I used to look everywhere, and if I was doing other, like, maybe yoga, and I would look to the person beside me, and then I'm like, oh, what they're doing, look what they're doing. And it's almost, and I'm coming from a very competitive state. I used to play rugby, and I used to play squash competitively, and I just coming from a very competitive state of my mind, and just always wanting to, like, I wanted to be better, so I would get into a pose, I'm like, oh, I got it!
I think a lot of people too, because they hear the word meditation. You think, like, I was like that too, where it's like I was asking people for advice. Well, how do you meditate? Well, then I started realizing
there's no actual way to
meditate.
meditate.
You don't actually sit there.
Yeah, you get in the car.
You actually just find a
Meditation
place that's quiet and get in a
a
state where you can think and just calm your mind.
Yeah. Or I think it's even like visualizing a few things as well, and that could be even your meditation. I mean, it's something that I do too. So I write a lot. I journal. I've been journaling for like 5 years now, and I have them all saved. So that's my meditation as well. And it's also visualizing things that I don't have, or I want, or I want to work towards my goals, and it's whatever it is. It's sometimes like the biggest things, and you think it's so unrealistic, but that's what's going to push you and drive you. It can be whatever it is, and writing things down, and somehow the science and the research, and it's just so amazing how things are written. As you write something down, you're slowly, it's like you're doing things in your life, and you're almost practicing the same thing. Whether you write something on your wall, and actually I know one of my clients, they've written a check to themselves, and I think it's so amazing. They've written a check to themselves for $100,000, and they see it every single day, and now like where they are, it's just and so impressive. It's so amazing. The things that I look back into my notebook as well, or my goal list and my whiteboard at home, somehow I'm like, those, it's not somehow, I mean, like, those things happen, but you're doing the work, of course, but you're doing it, you're constantly seeing that they come
to fruition.
Yeah, it comes into reality, and you're seeing it, you're verbally saying it.
You see how you've evolved also.
Yeah, it's so amazing. When I look back at a journal, I'm like, wow, like that happened.
That's how Jim Carrey got started. But before we go any further, we do have to take a break. So
we'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Hey guys, you guys are watching Real Talk, and we're here with our guest, Miss Jessica Ciampini. And she's been sharing some insight into her life, a little bit about things she's overcome, dealing with cancer, dealing with the support of having family, friends, and, even just going in and doing that introspection into yourself and finding out who you are.
Yeah, and trying to let people know that whether you're facing something right now, and know that there is a way to. There's a way to overcome that, and sharing your story, be authentic, be real on social media. Who cares what people are saying? When the shit's real, people are gonna want to listen. When people can sniff bullshit, and I'm very
it's
people
very
can sniff
easy
that,
to do,
and and like, yeah, sorry,
a lot of people are very full of it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, especially nowadays, because social media is so accessible, right?
Right, and you can pretend people have fake accounts, or they can take different. You can pretend, and you can do whatever you want. But that's the thing, that we have to just really be humble within ourselves, and being humble with who you are, and embracing it. It's your story, no matter where you are, whether it's happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago, today. That's your story, and wherever you are today, you've gotten to where you are because of what happened. So share with people and help people, and that's the goal. Is doesn't matter what I've gone through. It doesn't matter, because my goal to accomplish is to be out there for people, and whether it's writing a book, whether it's doing seminars, whether it's doing workshops and helping with my clients, or even with my business in Montreal, I truly really want people to get back on their feet, to strive for.
The one thing that I liked in your bio was you had put in there owning your story. Yeah. And I related to it because I remember I had a situation happen in my life where it was a life and death situation, and had I been to the hospital an hour later, I may not have been here, right? And I remember after that, coming out of the hospital, and you have such a different perspective on life.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at everything and you're realizing the beauty, realizing how life is.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happened with you too,
yeah.
right?
Like, even like touching things, like even like, it sounds so weird, but even I'm like, I got back home, I'm like, even touching things, I'm like, wow, I can feel, and that's how it felt, because it sounds crazy, but it's like you're almost like in jail and you were there for so long. That's how it felt. It felt like I was there for weeks, and I think I was there for about a week, but it felt very, very long. Yeah, because it's dragging it, because you're so used to a fast pace, you're so used to doing things, and you're used to being there.
Basically having your free will.
And exactly. And especially when I was so like young, I left early, and I'm like, no, I like my power, my freedom, and that's what I really wanted to strive, and I wanted to strive for being just a free spirit, and that's where and I'll give you my definition of what I mean by that even today, and just going out there and allowing yourself to just be, and not being so intoxicated with all these different information. And we have so much things that like we talked about earlier, there's so many things that are happening on social media, and you almost feel sometimes anxiety, and I used to face that anxiety with what's gonna happen.
Social media gives you anxiety, though. Yes. Like, I remember taking a break from social media at like one point in my life. Like, this was a couple years back, and I was like, I'm not gonna be on social media. Yeah, when it wasn't that big still. And I'm like, yo, I can't do this. Like, social media is just too much, because they're always like constantly bombarding you with things. People are always sharing things.
We went through that. I remember we were all talking about it here in the office. It was during the election for Trump.
Oh, yes.
The racial stuff started escalating huge.
Like, I just want to leave Facebook. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore.
We pulled off of Facebook, because Facebook was really bad with all the shares and stuff, and anger, just
everything was constantly being updated.
And it was like, no, and that's where Instagram came in, because I remember we had conversations, and it was like, I like how you can control it.
It's more controlled,
yeah. Did you notice all the updates on Facebook, like during that time?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you were on Facebook, it's anxiety. Like, you don't want to hear that, and there's so much.
You're like, I've got enough stress in my own life. I don't need Facebook stress.
But not only that, like, even if, whether you have stress or not, like, even if you're facing stress, you need to like pick. It's not necessarily stress, but it's like you're picking and choosing your battle, and seeing what resonates and aligns with you. If it doesn't, just let it go. And I purposely do things now. I have my phone off and silent at a certain time, and you need to kind of push back sometimes. And I used to be like, no, I'm gonna miss something. I gotta post. And it's all coming with perfectionism. We want to be perfect. We want to post and the times, and that's great. And I do that for even with Piga as well, because I'm the manager, and I'm constantly doing things in like French and English, and I'm posting at a certain time. So when it's like, when we don't, you think that you're gonna miss up on, or maybe a sale or a client or customer, and I get that.
Yeah.
But what about ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, when are you taking the time for yourself?
Yeah, no, it's
because
true.
The shit never, like, the things never sleep. It's just like stocks, and I just been doing that. Like, no, I'm gonna, as a
watch
metaphor,
out for Facebook. It does not, it's stalking
it's
you.
True. No, I mean like stock and market. It doesn't sleep.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Or that.
I really thought it was like it's stalking you.
Stocks and market, like the market that doesn't sleep, just like money doesn't sleep. And I feel like that's the social media. Like, when it's Monday, like, you feel feel it on social media. You go on, you're like, whoa. Well, you gotta keep going.
You were talking about letting go too, and I think that's the big thing with social media right now, is because there's so much stuff that's being amped at you all the time. Is that, I mean, you could literally see, especially when things started to rise with the elections that were happening and the racial tensions, and you could see people actually was fueling anger, real anger, and they were getting louder and louder, and it was like a domino effect that was starting to happen. But we have to learn. I mean, as much as it's a tool and it's a resource and stuff like that, but we really need to learn what we take in, right, and what we allow to come into our lives, because it can really destroy what you are.
That's the importance of self-awareness. Like when you you sit down, you take it back and be like, okay, who am I? What am I doing right now? You know, kind of thing. Like, how do I feel about this? And it's kind of like really deconstructing your mind.
Yeah, and sometimes it can sabotage what you think you can do, your ability, because you think someone else is doing something. And I think oftentimes we compare what other people are doing, or people compare bodies, or they compare whatever business. You're constantly always comparing.
Not realizing people's renting, Lamborghinis, or they're standing in front of other people's Lamborghinis. And
they rent it and they're like, I did this business, and it's something that it's always comparing. But just doing the best out of you, like your ability, and knowing what you're like, whatever you're good at, whether you're cutting hair, whether you're good at detailing, whatever it is you're good at, find it and just literally dissect it. That's why I say dissect it, and you'll figure it out. Because even still today, we all it's like we think we've got it, but I think we all figure things out every single day. We're always trying to figure things out for ourselves, and whether we want to get better at something, or even having, like, even a radio show, a talk show, you want to get the best people, and people are constantly going to maybe bombard you with messages, or I want to be on, because it's that exposure, or they want to like whatever it is, you know for yourself that you want to get the best people, not necessarily the best people in, but someone that can bring in something authentic, or you can either resonate or not, or it can help other people, and that, I think there's not almost like an argument with that, but there's so much things that are being, people, and like even my clients would say this too, like, oh well, I saw this on social media, or about nutrition and this and that, and it's like, okay, let's just talk to someone that's a professional. And because like she's with one client, if you're diabetic and she'll read something, and it's like, okay, well, we work with a holistic nutritionist, let's speak to him, because that's a myth.
He's educated.
And do more research too. Don't just take one website or one ad that comes up on Instagram.
One opinion.
I love Google though.
You can Google anything. You can live on Google. Like there's so many things that you're just like, I don't know this. Let me go find out on Google, and then sit there and do your research.
We have so much resources. We can do whatever we want, and we create what we want. We create. It's our storybook. And like you said earlier, you've been writing for like how long?
For so long. Like and I don't write. The thing is, people think, like, when you think of a journal, people think you have to write every day. I don't write every day. Like, I don't have that kind of time. But I write periodically when I know that there's something kind of I need to like get rid of, or something I need to like actually
you just want to like let it
through and let it go a little bit.
Yeah.
And after I finish writing, that feeling itself, it's like
a feeling
of
accomplishment too, right?
A weight has been lifted off your shoulders. It's like, okay, you know what? I wrote it down. I actually see it on paper. It's tangible to me, and I'm like, you know what?
And you feel good.
I'm good with it. I can go and like go on with my life now.
Yeah, rather than maybe saying something wrong to someone else, because I used to be that person, and I'm sure, like, maybe we all have say something that you don't even, like, whoa, what did I just say?
Oh, come on, I get myself in trouble all the time.
We all do that. I would say something, or whether it's you're swearing or it's vulgar or not, and then the past, it doesn't even make sense. I'm like, what the heck did I just say? Because I need to deal with my shit first, because no one's gonna want to be with you.
It's true.
No one's gonna want to be with you if you you're not figuring shit out with yourself. If you know you're not having a good day and you're gonna face it, like, hey, I'm not having a good day, let the person know. And I will say, I can't talk right now, or I will do what I need to do for myself, and then I'm ready to go back, and I'm ready to attack whatever it is I'm doing.
And it's funny too, because we live in such a materialistic society these days, and with social media and stuff, we become this person who can't let things go, like you're talking about. Like, I mean, I remember there was one time in my life where I had gotten anxiety, and really bad, where I had bleeding ulcers and the whole thing. And I remember we had to shut down our business. Wow. And I specifically remember the situation where it tore me apart, right? Because it was my baby, it was my dream, it was the whole thing. And I remember sitting in the back of a U-Haul truck, and I've tried over the years having a relationship with my father, and it never worked, right? And I remember my mother sitting there talking to me, and she was like, you just got to learn to let things go. And we don't realize that a lot of those things can cause the ailments inside, cause the stress, the anxiety, and the war within, you know. And it was from that point forward that I've always said, you know, if it stresses me out, I'm done. Right? Like if there's
also
somebody
said it best, Grant, let it go.
Yeah, exactly. But like, how would you how do you how do you let that go? Like from coming from that's an amazing story. Like
it's just I just had to learn because life was more important, and I'm sure that, I mean, even with what you went through, because that like the whole point is that sometimes it takes these situations to arise where you realize that these things don't matter.
Yeah.
Right? Stress doesn't matter. You're not going to take it with you when you're dead and gone. Right?
Exactly.
You're not going to take the money with you when you're dead and gone. It's you personally. It's your life experiences and what you get to do in life in that little span that you're here, right?
And I also think that there's so many things that people use as an excuse or trying to justify something that happened. And even getting to, so when I was about 2 months ago, I was in a car accident, and even facing that after a concussion, we're like, oh, why are you going back with your, like, the 2 days after? And I said, those are excuses, and stop putting excuses in your mind, because we can sit here and we can talk so much, but until you either execute it or until you, again, you can let it go. But what does that mean for some people? Some people have no idea. Like, it might be easier said than done. It's oftentimes hard for someone just to leave your shit behind and walking away from it. Yeah. So we all deal with it in different ways. But my point, what I'm trying to say is not using your story as an excuse, but using it as a strength, using it as your purpose. And whether you grew up in the hood or it doesn't matter. Like that, use that.
Chelsea is killing herself. We need to figure out a way to flip the camera sometimes, right?
No, like, and I'm being real. Like, wherever you are, whatever you're coming from, whether you're a Canadian citizen now, you're coming from wherever, use that. Like, go out there and meet the people and get lost. Get lost. Get lost.
Get lost, Chelsea. You know? That's twice today.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Just get lost in life and really put yourself out there in the community and help the community. Volunteer.
Yes.
I volunteered at a hospital, one of the hospitals that I was in, and for me, I'm like, in the beginning, I was a little bit selfish. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, you know, I'm like, I got up in my, but that's it. For me, it served me. Like that was if you're, doesn't matter what age, doesn't even matter, because people would say, well, when you're younger, you don't want to do that. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, even from today or when I was at that point, I truly wanted to, but once you first start, it was out of my comfort zone because I felt I got more important things to do. That's what I thought. Yeah. But when you're doing it, it becomes it's a routine, and consciously you're going to want to, because you're receiving something. So now, like, I have my routine in the morning, but if I get too comfortable with something, I feel like it's not serving me a purpose, or I'm not getting far ahead. Okay, now I got to get uncomfortable. So that's where I analyze things.
My favorite part.
Yes.
We're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick break.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
And we're back with Real Talk. I find that this time is like, right? Like,
goes by when you're having
we're
fun.
missing breaks too. Like Chelsea's like,
Chelsea's like, can you guys wrap this up?
So.
But we're having a great conversation, honestly. I mean, we're learning a lot. We're also, if you think about it, doing some own like introspection, because these are questions that are making you think about, what do you do? What's your routine? What do I do so that I can let go? Or what are things that I'm still holding on to?
Yeah, some baggage.
Yeah.
I think it could be like the littlest things, but that little baggage can be really,
and it can weigh
in
you
your
down.
life, yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
It'll weigh you down. I mean, I know people in my own life who have these kinds of things. Like, they have problems, issues, grudges that they're still holding, and you see what it does to them. It's like, it's kind of like poison.
Yeah, and like I said before, who's gonna want to be around someone that feels like that? So
Yep.
if you're even at the simplest thing is answering your phone or calling someone, and making the small little things, guys, like if you're gonna pick up the phone, say hi, like in a nice, and people can tell when you're on the phone.
People always say
People
smile
know.
when you answer the phone.
Smile and laugh. Yes.
Someone
If you're just
hello.
like hello, then I joke around like, are you mad or something? Like, did I do something wrong? What's wrong? And you almost have to, like, sometimes I'll question people, and they're like, no, like that's just normal, and I won't comment towards that. And for myself, I know, okay, I'm gonna smile on the phone.
I always do that, though. I know
always-
exactly how I sound on the phone when I answer the phone. Just depending on who answers the phone, I'm like, I'm so terrible. Like, I need to change that.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who's gonna call you.
Yeah.
But I think the principle is just being more aware and present when you're speaking to someone and listening, because oftentimes we want to always hear ourselves and talk about us, but when you listen to the people, you get so much. And rather than interrupting, listen to the person on the phone, listen to your family, your mate, whoever that is, and you'll discover something new. You're really gonna get to know them, because you judge. Like, some people would just judge on the surface.
Yeah. So
And,
did that happen with your parents? Did you kind of have to just sit down and listen to them?
Yeah, I listen to my mom a lot.
Yeah.
I listen to her because she had so many things just to say,
Yeah.
and oftentimes it wasn't really good, and that's where I had to, sorry to say, but put it in one ear and go out the other, because I have to protect myself still. No matter what, I love her to death. She's my mom, but we still need to protect ourselves, and still I wanted to give her something as well, and I listened to her, but I needed to say, okay, this is not going to affect my day, because in the past things would have, if she would have told me that or someone was going through something, I would have been almost really hard on myself, and it created that, or stress. It can create that within you, and you want to do so much for that person. So I listened, and trying to understand what she needs from me. So I always ask, even for so the women, the Sterling women, we always ask for what levels of help that we need. So if I'm speaking to a friend, or even my mother still, I ask her, what type of, like, what do you need from me, and how can I help you?
Yeah.
And she will be very blunt with me, and she'll say, I just need you to listen, or I need you to either come see me today, because I usually see her on Saturdays. So I'm always giving that help there. I'm always giving her an option, or even with friends as well, rather than constantly bombarding and saying what I think, because sometimes people just want to listen. They just want to be heard, and that's all it is. But yeah.
So you're getting ready to work on your second book?
Yes.
What's that going to be about?
So it will be about, I'm deciding on the name, but Soul Sisters, sisterhood and sisters united, and that for me is a big thing for myself, growing up with a sister that I don't have a communication, or we're not close, and now the sisters that I have, and it's like mothers, aunts, like it's amazing.
You have a whole family.
Yeah, it's a tribe. Like, when one thing happens, I got the whole gang like behind me, and
Yeah.
that's a sisterhood. And you guys listening out there, like, there's women. You need to embrace who you are, help other women out there, smile at each other, compliment you. If you notice, like I've noticed, if I compliment someone, she's all like, the woman is almost shocked. She'll say, "Oh, really?" And it happened just yesterday. I'm like, "Yeah, just let it be. Like, you look great. Your skin looks awesome. Like, I'm breaking out. Like, it's just breaking out." So I'll just like the littlest things, and I truly will authentically mean it. If you got nice shoes, I'm not gonna hesitate. Tell the person how you feel. It doesn't matter if you're at a grocery store. Let them know, male or female. But for myself, it's coming from soul sisters and being with women, because the things that we can create together, and what our society and what Earth is just evolving to. We can do so much, and we have so much potential. And I think coming from, like, I guess from my dad, he has his own business, and things are in that family, they're very successful. But it was more from the males, and almost the women. You think that women are not, they can't achieve that. And growing up in that tradition, it's the woman is doing, and maybe for your culture, and it doesn't matter what culture, oftentimes for my culture being European, the woman will get the food and stay home. But no, we gotta, like, we have so much that we have potential, like, we gotta do this together, and that's what the book is. And sharing, it's owning your story. That's what, own your story. Okay. Whatever it is. You're coming from a divorce, don't break down, because you have your either your child or not. There's so much things that you can do, whether you want to be a mompreneur, you want to create something, whether you have these ideas, use those ideas, speak to people, and be with women. We're so powerful together, and it's amazing. Yeah.
I noticed your tattoo, and I wanted to ask you about it. What does it mean? There's 4 symbols that you have on your hand. Yeah,
this is a recent one. Okay, so the first one, is God. I was raised Roman Catholic, but I'm converting to Buddhism, and that has just God, whatever your God is, has really helped me every single day, and that. Like, I think we really have that relationship. Relationships are key for me. Relationships with everyone, and I believe having a relationship with the person and God, it's gonna get you far beyond where you can imagine. Second, my middle finger. Second is
yeah, but I noticed your middle finger has an infinity on it too. Yes. So is that like when you're really mad at people?
I was not. I'm like, yes.
I'm mad at you times infinity.
Yes. So the infinity, of course, that's always. So the middle finger and that symbol is always fighting through. So it's going back to what I've gone through. Always fighting through. It doesn't matter. You can hit me. You can say whatever you want. I'm gonna fight through it. Whether I play a professional sport or not, I'm gonna fight through it. That's always.
Wow.
The last one. Oh, that's not the last one. The third one is thrive. Always thriving through life. What makes me happy. What inspires me. And those are people. Like, I'm a big people person, and I strive to be around people. I'm a social butterfly, and I thrive off that. It makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
The last one is strength. It's strength from within. So strength coming from yourself. And I used to think that strength was coming from a fitness background. Strength was, lifting weight, making your muscles bigger. But it's really the littlest things, and to lengthening yourself. And now lengthening, what I mean by that is not. It could be yoga. I do Thai massage as well, and it's like lengthening with that, but lengthening within yourself. So creating it's almost like you're creating like leverage in your life. You are, whether you're getting one step further, so you're lengthening your potential, your mindset. So being open mindset rather than close. Yeah. And that's what it means for me. For rather than when you say lengthen, it's sort of like we would think it's a pose or a stretch, but it's really getting to, it could be like that leap, that next stretch, whatever it is. You don't know, you can't predict it, but knowing in your mind and in your heart, this is what you want, and you're taking that leap towards that. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you are converting to Buddhism.
Yes, I am.
What about the teachings has drawn you there?
Yeah, the teachings has been unbelievable. My mentor, he's a monk, and he's just incredible. I posted it's on my Instagram as well, and I go every Wednesdays, and I practice meditation for an hour and a half, and then I have a tea ceremony with him, and that has completely changed how people even perceive me now. I'm just putting up that right energy out there and really being the love and compassion. That's Buddhism. There's a lot of things. It's not you can convert if you want and say, okay, I'm Buddhist. You can do that. That's by all means your decision. But it's much deeper than that. Like for myself, I'm practicing it, and who knows where that's gonna go. But it's not. You can either people become monks, and that's when they practice, but I'm not.
That's with the shaved head. And
yeah. Well, my head is shaved in the back, but it is shaved. But I did that for reasons relating to like the cancer as well. When didn't have my hair, wasn't as long and thick, and I did that. It was like more of like a self thing.
Yeah.
Just a really random thing that I did, and I just kind of, I just felt it with me. I felt, okay, wow, I can grow my hair now. Even that half of it's shaved, I think felt so much hair.
It's having that control. I've heard that it's the control, because when you have cancer and you have to go through the treatment process, right? The chemotherapy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't have control over it sometimes of the fact if you lose your hair or not.
Yeah, there's so many things we can control, but these little things, you can't. And and even if at that point you can't control it, you gotta make the best out of it. Laugh about it. Laugh whether you're going through a fitness journey or not. Laugh about where you are and say, hey, I ate that piece of cake and I ate a lot of it, and laugh about it and go on. Like, I used to eat, and I'm real. Like, I used to binge a lot. I used to eat a lot, but that's also coming from, if we're binging, there's a reason why, and I do this with my clients too. There's other hormones, or your blood type, or it could be stress. So I've weighed a lot at one point, even before getting into like a fitness shows, and that was coming from stress. That was coming from being impulsive to things, and it's a dopamine with something just feels good, and like, okay, let's just put our hand and let's just keep going, and you don't even know when you're gonna stop with it. And I don't know if you can
self-control,
and having the self-control, it's coming from the discipline. Discipline is the biggest thing, and practicing that too. And
I think of the mind and body.
Yeah, and I really think life is just practice, and that's the key thing. And I believe in that, is practice. Whether you're practicing your it could be a religion. I'm practicing being a better person every day. And how do you practice that? And there's different ways. How do you practice being more disciplined? And those are all practice. Whether you have a successful business, you practice to have that.
It's true.
You practice to put yourself out, put content out there. You practice to experiment. I've experimented with many things, and sometimes I would remove it or not, whether it's a website. When I've created my website, I practiced with logos and experimented even with foods. So it's all just practice.
How can people follow you?
People can follow me on usually on Instagram at Jessica Ciampini _ as well as my website, jessicaciampini.ca, as well as jcfitness.com.
Awesome.
Or .ca, sorry. Yes.
Awesome. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I really appreciated your last message, and even I think that it's important for people to understand that there's no correct way to live your life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Everyone's like, oh no, I gotta do this, and I gotta do this, and I gotta be a good person, I have to have these morals and these values, and there's no like textbook way to live your life. Yeah. It's kind of what happens for you in your life, what challenges have you overcome, what things have defined you throughout your life, and your, all the course of actions has brought you to this.
And and just like a little, just a quick tidbit, just like with school, they don't teach us how to be an entrepreneur. They don't teach us certain things. And just like life, you need to, you read as much as you want and practice every single day, practice whatever it is, have one or two things, and be focused on that. And once you've accomplished that practice within yourselves, and you can go on to the next one, and so you're not so overwhelmed with life, and know that you've got the light within.
And I think too, I mean, everybody's struggle is different, and we're all got lessons in life to learn our own lessons, and everybody's going to be different. And don't necessarily judge someone because they are going through something less or more than you. They have their own struggles of their own that you may not even know, and like what happened with you. So I want to thank you so much. It was great having you on the show.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
Thank you.
I feel like this itself was like a session.
Right? I feel better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. It'd probably be...
It's over there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right here.
And if you have any comments or questions, please do leave them. We'll make sure if you have any questions, we'll get Jessica to actually answer them.
Be more than happy.
As well as we will put her contact information at the bottom of the website, the video as well. So if you guys need to get a hold of her, you're taking clients on as well?
Yes, I am. Awesome. And if anyone has any questions about vegan, Buddhism, I'm more than happy to help you with any questions.
Phone number, quickly?
647-523-1871.
Awesome. So we'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.